I climbed onto the shore, laughing and messing, followed by Richie, Bill, and Stanley. Beverly was still sitting on the grass, lying in the sun. Richie and Stanley exchanged confused glances, and Eddie looked at me and frowned. "Why is she still here?" Eddie mouthed at me, his eyebrows raised dramatically. I shrugged and turned back to look at her. Slowly, she turned her head around to look at us. We instantly snapped our eyes away from her and pretended to be doing something else. "Don't pretend. I saw you checking me out," she casually mentioned, making Richie gag. "I think the fuck not." Richie smirked at me and sat down in the grass, away from her. We all got back into our clothes. Stanley wore dark blue jeans, an orange shirt, and white runners with muddy laces. Richie wore a white shirt with grey flowers, over a plain white t-shirt and black jeans. He wore black and white shoes with no laces. Bill wore his white shirt with blue sleeves, light blue jeans, and clean white shoes. Eddie wore a yellow t-shirt, small red shorts, and red shoes with white laces. I got back into my clothes. A tight, light grey pencil skirt, and a tight white crop top, with short sleeves and lace around the cleavage. I pulled back on my white thigh-high socks and light pink Converse with ice cream-shaped charms. "Want to play Truth or Dare?" Stanley asked a few minutes later, with a smile. We all nodded in agreement, and Beverly came up behind us to join our circle. "Sure, I'll play," she smiled, and I rolled my eyes. Without waiting for an answer, she started to play. Stanley and Bill are sitting beside each other, facing Richie and Eddie. Leah is in between Eddie and Bill, and Bev is between Richie and Stanley, and Leah and Beverly are facing each other. If you're on my wattpad, you'll be able to see the picture. There's like a very messy diagram of it, but it's fine. "Leah, Truth or Dare?" She looked me directly in the eye, with no facial expression. I looked at the grass to avoid eye contact. "Truth," I said, and she scoffed and rolled her eyes. "Who do you prefer in the group?" she asked, and everyone turned to face me. My cheeks burned. "I don't have a favorite," I answered, kind of truthfully. "You must have a favorite." Beverly knew what she was doing. If I picked, then the others would get mad because they would think that I didn't like them. If that happened, how would I protect him from the danger? "Well, Richie is funny. Stanley is protective of me. Bill is super kind, and Eddie is adorable, so no," I said, and the boys smiled to themselves, secretly happy that I loved them all. "Now, Richie, Truth or Dare?" I asked, ignoring Beverly, who was still trying to speak. "Dare," Richie smirked, not realizing he would regret it later. "I mean, I know I should be protecting them and all, but maybe just this once I could kiss the neck of the person on your left," I smirked, and Richie's head turned to face Eddie. "For how long?" Eddie squeaked, a blush climbing up his neck and spreading across his cute cheeks. Not long, only like 10 seconds, I promised, and Richie smiled awkwardly. He didn't want to pass on the dare, because then he'd lose his streak of doing every dare he was ever given. "Fine," he stated, and Eddie's eyes widened. "But only because I've done every dare since summer of 2 years ago." Eddie didn't want to ruin his best friend's streak, so he nodded slightly, and Richie smiled. Richie leaned over to Eddie and grabbed his waist. He pressed his lips to Eddie's neck and kissed lightly. He kissed down to Eddie's collarbone and nibbled and licked slowly. Eddie let out a high-pitched moan and closed his eyes. His hand shot up to cover his mouth, and his eyes shot open. Richie leaned back from Eddie and admired the marks he left. "That was hot," I commented, my mouth still hanging open. Richie turned to look at me and winked. Billy boy, truth or dare? Richie asked, ignoring Eddie and Stanley, who were still so confused. Truth, Bill smiled sheepishly. Eddie slowly brought his hand up to touch his neck, confused. Who do you have a crush on? Richie smirked, and Bill blushed deeply. Leah, Bill admitted, with an embarrassed smile. What? Stanley, Richie, and Eddie shouted at the same time, and Bill covered his face with his hands. Really? I asked, not actually believing it. Well, yeah, Bill answered, then changed the subject. Eddie, truth or dare? Truth, Eddie answered nervously. Did you enjoy the kiss? Bill smirked, and Eddie choked. Yeah, but I don't like Richie. I'm straight. I thought of someone else. Eddie finally answered, and Richie's grin was about 5 times its usual size. I need to go. Beverly checked her watch and stood up. My dad's expecting me home. Stanley let out a sigh of relief as Beverly walked out of sight. Again, messy diagram of where everyone's sitting. Stanley, truth or dare? Eddie asked with a slight smirk on his face. Dare, Stanley said with instant regret. I'm going to flip a coin. If it lands on heads, you have to kiss Bill. If it lands on tails, you don't have to do anything. Eddie smiled, and Richie rubbed his hands together with excitement. Without giving Stanley a chance to respond, Eddie took his coin out of his pocket and threw it into the air. Richie grabbed it mid-air and opened his hand. Heads. Richie's eyes widened with happiness, and he smiled super wide. We've wanted them to kiss for so long, Richie explained to me, and I laughed at him. Same, Richie. Same. So, do we... Stanley tried to speak, but got cut off. Bill grabbed Stanley by the waist and forced him to meet face to face. Stanley pressed his lips gently against Bill's soft, pink lips. Bill kissed him gently and reached up to grab Stanley's hair. His fingers tangled with the messy curls, and Stanley let out a low, rough moan. Bill pulled back, his eyes widened. Somehow, in the minute or so they were kissing, Bill forgot it was Stanley. His best friend. Stanley. He was imagining someone else, too. I'm sorry, Stanley said, looking at the grass and playing with his shirt. It's fine. Let's move on. Bill smiled, trying to make his friend feel better. Leah, truth or dare? Stanley asked, and I rolled my eyes. Again. Dare, I said, not wanting to say who I liked, or who was the hottest, or anything that can break our friendship. Kiss Richie. Stanley smirked, and I realized that maybe truth was the better option. Richie, on the other hand, was smiling to himself, but I noticed. Okay, I said, and tried to swallow the lump in my throat. I looked at Richie. Eddie saw places with me. Are you okay with this? Richie whispered to me, and I nodded my head. Are you? I whispered back, and he nodded happily. Well, at least now I don't have to pretend that you're someone else. He smirked, and without letting me reply, he pressed his lips to mine. And then there's like a cute-ass picture. He gently reached up to touch my face as we were kissing, and I grabbed his waist. It was perfect. His soft, black hair pushed off my forehead, and his ice-cold glasses made shivers go down my spine. Eddie coughed loudly, and we broke apart. Blushes spread over our faces.